So I just want to go through a quick explanation about why these constructions work. So I know that when I was doing my perpendicular bisector, I used the same distance for all of these arcs, right? From this point, I used the same distance for both arcs, and I kept the same distance when I moved to the other endpoint. So that means if I connect my original endpoints to these intersection points, these will be congruent because this is the same distance as this was using the geo tool. Same thing down here. I kept using the same distance for everything, which means that all of these segments in green are congruent. They're all the same length. I'm going to mark that. If I have a quadrilateral here, these 4 green segments, a quadrilateral that has 4 congruent sides, that makes this a rhombus. We know some other things about a rhombus as well. We know other properties, specifically properties about its diagonals. So we know in a rhombus, the diagonals are perpendicular to each other. So these are all right angles. So that supports the fact that this blue segment is perpendicular to the pink. We also know, let me get another color, we'll go with purple. We also know that in a rhombus, as is true with any parallelogram, the diagonals bisect each other, which would make these 2 segments congruent and these 2 segments congruent. So it is in fact bisecting the pink original segment that we had. As far as, the angle bisector, again, this comes from a rhombus. So if I imagine these distances I created, so I used the same distance on my geo tool for absolutely everything that I created here. For my original arc, so that means this segment is congruent to this segment, these here. And then if I connect this intersection point to this intersection point, and same thing over here. Again, these were all using the same distance on the geo tool. So these are congruent as well. So you may be able to see this rhombus here. So another interesting thing about the diagonals of a rhombus, which we didn't actually talk about because there were so many other properties, but one additional property that we didn't learn yet this year is that the diagonals of a rhombus bisect the angles. So that means that this angle of the rhombus was bisected by this diagonal of the rhombus. So these angles would be congruent.